Alright, so this time on Ganon Force, I decided to take Ganon down with a few handicaps. So I've turned off all abilities. I'm wearing a total of 4 defense armor, a Gyarados top, and a Lionel mask. I've got 3 ancient shields in case they break, and 6 spring-loaded hammers because I know those will break. So clearly this boss battle is a little bit too easy, as I've already cleared it without taking damage. And I just can't wait for hard mode, so this is what I came up with. And without further ado, I don't want to get that Master Sword out of here. Here's the boss fight. So initially, a few of the attacks here I actually don't know how to deal with. So the main attacks that he uses are the Flame Blade attacks, horizontally and vertically, and I get really good at dodging those. So sometimes I don't successfully counter those, but every time I do avoid them. As you can tell, my hammer doesn't do much damage, so my main method of attack is deflecting his Guardian Beam. Horizontal slash. This one took me a little bit longer to get used to. And most of the attacks that Ganon throws out when he's on the wall are really easily avoidable. You just have to run from side to side. Generally, I don't think there is a single attack that you can't avoid just by running away from it. Here we can see the debut of the Strong Pose. I will be using this to taunt Ganon at every step of the way here. And so the majority of the damage, since my hammer really doesn't do too much, is going to be from that laser beam that I deflect back at him. So technically that's not my damage, that's his damage, so I'm going to count this as a hammer only damage from him. It's very infrequent, and it's almost really hard to tell, but he does take damage from the hammer. It's just a small pixel of damage. Oh, I think that was one. I can't tell from my preview window here while the video's going. Obviously, you can tell when he takes. Oh, there's another little tick of damage there. Obviously, you can tell when I deflect his beam back at him, but yeah, normally it's gonna be really tough to tell. Sometimes he just kind of meanders around till I decide to do something. Again, he goes up on the wall, and it takes like at least 10 seconds for him to decide to do something. I usually get bored, and sometimes his attacks take me off guard, but I think during this entire run I never got hit by something that surprised me. Even here, they give you a lot of time to react. I had my shield up and I was like strafing around him, and I still had time to get rid of everything and just kind of start moving. And that ice lance that he throws, like I was barely moving and I completely avoided that. So we get another counterattack there. And I think there's another pixel of damage. It's a long fight. Strap in. If you don't make it through the entire video, I completely understand. I just wanted to challenge myself for the sake of doing it. So most of these flurry rushes, they don't do any damage. It's kind of an acquired thing. I think it takes like 10 swings of the hammer to actually do any damage to him, if not more. I should sit down and do that. So thanks to the magic of video editing, I was able to go and check out exactly how many hits it takes to do a single bit of damage, and it's 14. You have to hit him 14 times with the hammer to do damage. So I believe when you do hit him with the beam attack, there's a bit of an overflow of damage. It takes a little bit less to take his health down a notch. But for the majority of the time, it's 14 hits. Just completely stood still for that spear attack there. I don't know what the hell Ganon is smoking, but he decided to completely miss me. And one swipe, he misses and decides to go for the laser beam. You'd think he'd learn after 27 minutes of trying to hit me with this laser beam that that's what's going to kill him, but he doesn't learn. Horizontal slash. I get really good at dodging these. Eventually, I get too good, almost, and my weapons keep breaking because I'm not doing enough damage with the shield. So I consistently flurry rush most of his attacks, and my hammers keep breaking, and I break a little bit too many hammers. The first time I attempted this, I got him down halfway with 3 hammers, so I thought that 6 would be enough, but I think it ended up taking 4 of my hammers before I got him down halfway here. Not to, give any spoilers or anything, but... So, this also gives me some time to talk about each of his individual attacks. So the tornado attack that you just saw, it looks like it's a lot closer than it actually is, and it just kind of chills in the center for the most part, so as long as you're running away from it, you're fine. Like I was saying before, I keep dodging a lot of these horizontal slashes. The vertical slashes, not so much, but at least I avoid the damage from them. Seems like he likes to follow up his slices or spear attacks, any of his blue weapon attacks. He likes to follow those up with a guardian beam. A lot of these flurry rushes seem to make it look like the timing window is massive, and that's because it is. I don't know why Nintendo decided to make this so easy to do, but I easily exploit this throughout this battle. This air cannon attack is probably one of the worst things that he can do while he's on the air. I always make sure that I'm running full force from that. This ice cube attack, however, I end up walking. I get out of it pretty easy, and I have enough time for another tough guy pose. This fireball attack is basically tough guy pose, the attack. Gives me lots of time to show off and show those guns. Trying to mix it up a little bit there. Fortunately, the game doesn't give you too much in variety of attacks, so there we have the first hammer breaking, and that is not a good sign because his health is not nearly as far down as it should be. Another thing to mention is attacking for too long. It's pretty rare that it happens, but if he gets up and you're still attacking him, the game gives you a lot of time to get out of his area of effect attack. But even if you fail to get out of that attack, you still have time to bring up your shield and safely get out of there. This lightning attack always throws me off guard, but again, the game gives you so much time to run away that it's not really an issue. That spear clearly went right through Link, but the shield is magical, so oh well, I'll just accept that. I always like dodging these vertical flame slashes because you can clearly see that Link's leg is getting cut off, but you leave with no damage and nice big old flurry rush. This one in particular is absurd. Like I dodged so early, and yet the game lets me do it anyway. Some of these timing windows are just way too easy to do. Since we have a lot of time, I think I'd like to talk about some of the boss design in this game as well. I think it's very clearly influenced by Dark Souls and Bloodborne, those kind of games. But I don't think they come even close to the difficulty that those Souls games bring. I mess up my buttons a little bit here and pay the price. There goes that perfect run. Bloodborne, for instance, requires the knowledge of all of the enemy's attacks. And often there's really no way to brute force your way through the boss battle. A lot of the bosses featured in this game, you can use a lot of different abilities to kind of get through a relatively easy fight. Got my third hammer out, and I start to realize here that these flurry rushes are not really too good for my progress. And yet I still keep using them. Pretty sure that short bullet attack can be just walked around, but here I try to go as slow as possible with these ice blocks. And I do make significant progress. Strong pose. A little bit too far away because I know he's going to use his laser beam attack soon. I thought about, like, if I had time during this first phase and my hammer was about to break, I thought about throwing it, but I ended up deciding not to. Can I use a flare rush here? It's something that I really shouldn't be doing because I haven't even hit the second phase yet. I think that was the first time I missed a horizontal. Luckily he uses his guardian beam there, so I'm able to clear those flames out pretty easily. kind of like running the boss this way because you see a lot more of his attacks. Like in my first 2 playthroughs of the boss battle, I thought that the wall attacks were only in the second phase, just because I run through the first phase so quickly. On my no damage run, I clear through the boss in about 2.5 minutes, and that's not enough for a final boss fight. Especially since I don't consider the final boss fight a boss fight. That last section with Malice Ganon, that's more or less a glorified shooting range with whatever horse you used last. It doesn't consider which horses you've used the most, so your bond with the horses isn't even considered there. Before this run, I had gone out and captured a new horse, and I didn't really think anything of it, but it ended up using that horse in that final boss fight for some reason, and it didn't make sense to me. Like, why would they make you use a horse that you haven't even really tamed yet? I'm not going to spoil it as to how many times I do take damage during this fight, but I do not use health items, I will tell you that. And here we are in the second phase. So the second phase is going to be treated more or less the exact same, because in the first phase I only dealt damage to him using Flurry Rush and a deflection of his beam attack. So this is pretty much the exact same thing. Normally during the first phase, you can throw Master Sword beam slashes at him, and you can use arrows. But the way that I'm running the boss fight, it doesn't make a single difference. It seems like he relies a lot more on flame attacks during this. And there we have the third to last hammer breaking. So I know at this point that I can't use flurry slash attacks anymore. I know that I lose a little bit of bragging rights for doing this and relying on the defensive attack instead, but I really didn't feel like going to grind for some more hammers. When he's on the wall, I think his beam attack does more damage to the shield, and that's why my ancient shield there broke. On the first time that I tried to do this type of run, my ancient shield broke and I didn't have anything else, so I made sure to come prepared this time. I do get pretty lucky with a lot of the beam attacks here. He seems to rely on them more in the second phase than the first phase. I still always get a kick out of how little damage this weapon does. It is absolutely pathetic. I considered using attack up items too, but I thought that kind of ruined the whole thing. The reality of this is that it's more of a defensive run. The fact that I can get out of this without taking very much damage is pretty good. This boss battle also runs very long, 27 minutes, so the fact that I'm not taking damage during 27 minutes of a boss battle, it's quite a thing to say. I think I've covered most of his attacks. They get pretty generic after a while, especially this fireball attack. It just basically gives me time to use my power stance and then just run away. Yeah, okay, this is the second time I'll get hit. Okay. Or maybe third time. I think I got hit by something else before. I thought it was only 2 times, but oh well. I got way too cocky running away from that. From here out, from this point out, I always just run full throttle and don't stop. It's not worth it to take damage over looking cool, you know? It seems like as long as he misses one of his triple attacks there, he always goes back to the beam. I'm not sure if that's actually just me getting really far away or what, but it could be. I could have just done this fight entirely wrong. Yeah, because as I'm backing up there, he goes back to that beam attack because I just jumped back from his slash. So maybe that's really what's triggering it, but I'm not sure. I could have just stood still for that attack and that's probably not taking any damage. I think he would have missed me there, but alright, time for cool guy pose. And run away and do not stop this time. I'm not making that same mistake 3 times in a row. Okay, maybe it isn't a distance thing then. I was pretty far after he used his horizontal flame blade there, and I still didn't trigger that guardian beam. So at this point, he's getting pretty weak. I still don't want to risk using those flurry rushes. Got some extra time for a cool guy pose, and right away. I don't know why the Lionel mask makes you do that, but I just found it absolutely hilarious. A little parasail for effect there. Cool guy pose. Ganon just loves me. He loves giving me the cool guy pose. And then a beam. How nice of you, Ganon. You know that you're about to die. You just want this madness to end. And again, I'm just missing out on these flurry rushes. Do a couple more at the end if I recall correctly, but for the most part I just want to avoid them. Yeah, it seems a lot of the time when he uses his horizontal blue blade and I dodge out of the way, he uses the cannon. So I don't understand what the trigger is for that. Yeah, again, it happened again there. And he's dead. There we go. That was my 20. Oh, it wasn't 27 minutes. It was 25 and a half. That's pretty close, right? 25 and a half minute. Actually, well, there's an intro. 25 minute. Let's call it 25 minute. 25-minute run of me using one damage weapon for no reason other than just to look cool and just to say that I did it. I'm hoping to get a lot out of hard mode, and hopefully it supplies a little bit more of a challenge than the default Ganon boss fight. Maybe we'll have to fight him for a full health bar, and maybe he'll have some new attacks. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. But boss fight as it is, it comes a little bit short. So I think from here on out, I'm just going to let you guys enjoy this cutscene with Link in his glorious armor and surprisingly visible hammer. I really enjoyed that you could see the hammer throughout the whole cutscene. Unfortunately, after the credits, it defaults back to his blue attire and Master Sword. But we do get a short little scene with Zelda here, and I'm just going to let that play out. If you watched this far into the video, thanks a lot. And leave a cool comment below if you enjoyed it.
Ganon.
Ganon!
Ganon was born out of a dark past, unlike anything ever seen before. I entrust you with the bow of light, a powerful weapon in the face of evil. Link, you may not yet be at a point where you have fully recovered your power, or all of your memories. But courage need not be remembered, for it is never forgotten. I've witnessed your struggles to return to us, as well as your trials in battle. I always thought, no, I always believed that you would find a way to defeat Ganon. I never lost faith in you over these many